Good evening from Tel Aviv. Welcome to experiment number 8, part 2 of the one field. Please open your cameras so we can see you and you can feel your vibration. ערב טוב לכם. שמחים שהצטרפתם אלינו לניסוי מספר 8, חלק 2. We are so excited to have you with us. אנחנו כל כך נרגשים שאתם איתנו. נעים להכיר, אני ליאת שפר בן יעקב, מייסדת מאסטרס, האקדמיה ליצירת מציאות, מומחית בתחום גוף נפש ותודעה מזה 20 שנה, מחברת ספרים ומרצה בינלאומית. מיכל מילגרום מור, המארחת שלכם, מובילה כרגע מסע בדמנור, איטליה, ויש לי הכבוד למלא את מקומה ולהיות איתכם היום. Hi, I'm ליאת שפר בן יעקב, founder of the Masters of Creation Academy, a body-mind consciousness expert for the last 20 years, an author and international speaker. Michal Milgrom Moore, the program's hostess, is leading a retreat in Damanhur, Italy, and I am honored to fill in for her and be here with you today. הניסוי הזה ישודר בפייסבוק, ביוטיוב ובזום. ייכנסו לאחד הכישורים המופיעים בתחתית המסך. לאחר הניסוי ההקלטה תעלה גם ליוטיוב, ושם ניתן יהיה לקבל תרגום של התוכן לרוב השפות. This experiment will be broadcast live on Facebook, YouTube, and Zoom. Please choose one of the links at the bottom of the screen. אז מה זה אומר סדרת ניסויים? נזכיר שוב. So what does a series of experiments mean? Let's do a quick recap. אחת לחודש, מיוני עד דצמבר, בכל 21 לחודש, באותה שעה, נחזור על אותו ניסוי, על אותה כוונה. Once a month, from June to December, every 21st of the month, at the same time, we will repeat the same experiment and the same intention. האם אנחנו יכולים להאיר את לב האנושות ולהעלות את הרטט של השדה הגלובלי? Can we awaken the heart of humanity and raise the vibration of the global field? אנחנו עדיין לא יכולים לשתף אתכם בתוצאות הניסוי הקודם, אבל אני אוכל לרמוז שאנחנו מאוד נרגשים לראות השפעה חיובית מדידה של פתיחת הלב שלנו. אבל נצטרך להמתין לסוף סדרת הניסויים, עד שנוכל לדעת יותר ולשתף אתכם בתוצאות הסופיות. We cannot yet share the full details of the last experiment's results. However, I can say that we see exciting indication of a positive influence of opening our hearts. But we'll have to wait till the end of the experiment process so we can share the final and formal results. אבל בלי מוזיקה, הרי אי אפשר, ורוברט קוקסון, מלחין, פסנתרן, מפיק מוזיקלי והמלחין של המוזיקה של השדה האחד, ייתן לנו את אקורד הפתיחה. But without music, it's impossible. And Robert Coxon, composer, pianist, music producer, and the composer of the music of the one field will give us the opening chord. תודה לך, רוברט, על מוזיקה שנוגעת בלב. Thank you, Robert, for the heartwarming music.
You're so welcome.
Thank you. שלום. ועכשיו, בלי השתאות נוספת, נעבור לגווין אנדרו. גווין אנדרו הוא מנכ"ל HeartMath אנגליה ואירלנד, ואנחנו מאוד שמחים לארח אותו כאן איתנו. And now, without further ado, we will move on to Gavin Andrews. Gavin Andrews is Managing Director for the HeartMath in the UK and Ireland. Good evening, Gavin. It's a pleasure to have you here with us tonight.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. בנוסף, הוא הקים תנועת מדיטציה עולמית ששמה אנחנו מוסיפים לב. התנועה מעודדת אנשים לחיות באופן מלא עם קשר ללב ולהוסיף קוהרנטיות לעולם. In addition, Gavin founded an international meditation movement, We Add Heart, the movement empowering people to live more fully from the heart and to add coherence to the world. לאחרונה הוא יזם סטארט-אפ לאומנויות דיגיטליות, כדי לעזור לאנשים לתרגל נשימה קוהרנטית, הרפיה ומדיטציה. He recently initiated a digital art startup to help people practice coherent breathing, relaxation, and meditation. Gavin.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here. So what I thought I'd do is, for those of you who weren't part of the last experiment, just explain some of the background to this. Repeat a couple of the slides that Rollin shared last time. And then it will be my pleasure to lead you through a heart-focused meditation whilst we engage in the presentation. So let me just share my screen quickly. I'll bring up some slides for you all. Nice to see people here from all over the world as well. It's amazing. We're all in different places and locations and times. Some of you must be very early in the morning. Some of you must be very late in the evening. So I'm honored that so many of you have joined. Okay. So before I share some of the other slides, just to let those of you know, if you haven't already realized in the experiment we're doing, you can actually take part in it personally by downloading our Global Coherence app. So this is a free app. It's available on the Apple and Google app stores. So if you don't have the app already, you've a bit of time before we go into the meditation. So if you fancy, then please just go to the Apple or Google app store, search for Global Coherence, and then you can download the app. It's free. Create an account, and then you'll be ready to engage in the experiment. I'll explain a bit more about what the app does shortly. So I've also put those instructions in the chat if you haven't had a chance to do that yet. So look, let's start with, what coherence is. What coherence, it's many things in scientific definitions, but really what coherence means is a state that implies harmony between multiple systems, whether that's, people or any system, basically, connectedness and an efficient use of energy. So in this visual metaphor we're using here is people in a rowing boat. So a rowing boat, in order to win a race in a rowing boat, you have to be a harmonious team. You have to be connected. You have to be using your resources efficiently, doing everything at the same time with the same kind of power. So that's what coherence means, and it's a phenomenon that we can see in all sorts of areas of life. And coherence is a very powerful thing. So this gentleman, Ilya Prigogine, he was Russian-born, but was a Belgian national for most of his life. He's a physical chemist and a Nobel laureate. And what he demonstrated in his works was that when we've got a chaotic system, so a system that's very far from equilibrium, which you could say our world appears to be at the moment, even actually very small islands of coherence within that overall sea of chaos have got the capacity to lift that system towards a higher order. So even if a wider system seems to be incredibly chaotic, small islands of coherence can entrain the whole of that wider system into coherence. So that's why really it's very important that we come together in situations like this. We have an opportunity to create a little island of coherence together that can impact that bigger sea of chaos, and then train it towards a greater degree of coherence overall. So a couple of overviews of some of the projects that are important with regards to this experiment. The first one's the Global Coherence Initiative, which we call GCI. So in terms of an overview, to set the context here, the Earth is basically being bathed in electromagnetic fields all of the time. And all of those fields are impacting us. They're connecting every single living organism. Every form of life is bathed in those fields. And of course, that naturally includes us as human beings. So we are all living in these common vibrational fields. And actually, we're all contributing to the field because we contribute our positive or negative vibrations to that field. So our thoughts, our feelings, interactions, behaviors, intentions, all of those things contribute to the field broadly in either a positive or negative way. And our hypothesis, HeartMath's hypothesis, which many people would share, is that large numbers of people who come together and create these heart-centered states where we're feelings, emotions like love, compassion, care, etc. Those feelings, when we come together, generate a more coherent field environment. And in creating that coherent field environment, we can benefit others. And indeed, we can then offset some of the planetary-wide negative experiences, vibrations that are being created, so fear and incoherence, worry for the future, that type of thing. And so what the GCI research project is doing is it's basically encompassing a lot of different scientific data, which will enable us then to gain new insights into the interconnectedness of human and animal and indeed plant health and behavior, and also how things like the sun and the Earth's magnetic activity impact upon all forms of life. So here's a nice little short video that the HeartMath Institute created, which explains all of this and brings it to life.
Hear that? That is the Earth's resonance. You could say it's our song, or one of the many songs the Earth sings. The Global Coherence Initiative has shown that changes in the Earth's vibrating magnetic field and the amplitude of the Schumann resonances can influence the function of the human autonomic nervous system, brain, and cardiovascular systems. And how do we measure that? The Global Coherence Monitoring System, GCMS, uses state-of-the-art sensing technology to observe changes in the Earth's magnetic field. As of 2020, sensor sites were operating around the clock in the following locations: Boulder Creek, California, USA; Hofuf, Saudi Arabia; Alberta, Canada; Baisogala, Lithuania; Northland region of New Zealand; and KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. GCI researchers hypothesized that when large numbers of humans respond to a global event with common emotional feeling, the collective response can affect the information distributed in the Earth's field. In cases where the event evokes negative responses, this can be thought of as a planetary stress wave. And in cases where a positive response is created, it creates a global uplifting coherence wave. To learn more about the interconnectedness of our health and behavior and the magnetic activity of the Sun and Earth, visit www.heartmath.org/GCI-research.
Okay, so as you saw, there's on the heartmath.org website more information about GCI. So an aligned project, a separate project, but an aligned project is the Global Consciousness Project. And I'll talk to you shortly about Global Consciousness 2.0, but the original Global Consciousness Project has been around since 1988 and was initiated by Dr. Roger Nelson at Princeton University. Now, what the Global Consciousness Projects found, so well, particularly between 1998 and December 2015, in over 500 different global events, was, well, basically the composite statistics for the project after those 17 years showed a 7 sigma departure from expectations. So what that means is a probability in the order of 1 in a trillion that a correlation of the data with global events is basically a chance finding. So 1 in a trillion is fairly impressive. In other words, what that means is that when an event is evoking an emotional response in a large number of people at the same time, it creates a change in the global consciousness field environment that is measured by changes in the behavior of a network of random number generators. So in the 1.0 version of the Global Consciousness Project, I think there's around 100 random number generators around the world. So the data generated from those random number generators clearly suggests that focused emotional energy and attention can interact with and affect the physical world, and that both positive and negative emotions affect the network. And the size and magnitude of the measured effect was shown to be linked to different emotional categories. And given the basic premise of interconnection, it's probably no surprise to observe that those events embody or evoke love and compassion, and they show a greater effect on the global network than any other emotion, including fear, anger, and anxiety. So the positive emotions, the pleasant emotions, love, compassion, care, they're more powerful than the negative ones. So high levels of love and compassion, they're corresponding to stronger effects. So what the research has seen up to date is that events like Earth Day or organized global meditations, Peace Day, demonstrations for peace, anything that's promoting global harmony tends to show a much stronger positive effect. This is just a graph that shows the impact of compassion in terms of being a much higher effect. So where we're at now, though, is the next stage of the Global Consciousness Project. So GCP 2.0. HeartMath are proud and honoured to have taken on this project from Dr. Roger Nelson. And what we are doing is creating a network of now 1,000 devices, which actually equates to 4,000 random number generators, which we will be distributing throughout the world to measure the global consciousness field. And it's important actually that we have these, extra devices, these 4,000 in effect random number generators, because more devices produce a clearer effect. So as far as science is concerned, we're able to demonstrate a much clearer effect, a much clearer correlation, and for the research then to be taken much more seriously as well. So how do we do this? Well, think of these random number generators like electronic coin flippers. So what they're doing is they're basically flipping a coin and getting either heads or tails. Now they're doing that millions of times, literally a second. But what you would expect, obviously, is every time you flip a coin over a long period of time, you'd expect a 50-50 distribution between heads and tails. But what we're seeing, what we certainly saw in the first iteration of the Global Consciousness Project, was that during those experiences of strong negative or positive human emotion, the distribution would be non-standard. So basically, you would see either more heads and tails, as it were. So what we're doing now is we have these fantastic random number generators, and we're encouraging people across the world to become citizen scientists by hosting these devices. And I'll talk to you at the end of the meditation quickly about how you could get involved if you wish to. This is what they look like. They're very clever, basically quantum devices. They've got some lovely lights on them that flash as well. You can't see mine, but it's sat in the corner over there. And what they're doing very cleverly, using these quantum effects where basically what they have is these diodes, so semiconductors basically, that only allow electrical current to go in one direction. And so what happens is these electrons then pile up on the diodes. So think of it like snow piling up on a mountain. Eventually gets to the stage where there's so much snow that there's then an avalanche. Okay, So think of it like that. It's like these avalanches, but actually what's happening with each of these devices, each of the random number generators, is there's about 1 million avalanches per second. And each of those avalanches is like a coin flip, basically. So what we've got there is an incredibly robust scientific system that's creating these very reliable random numbers. And so therefore we can trust the data that we're seeing. So let's bring this back to what it's really all about, which is the difference that we can all make as individuals. So we are each, all of the time, emitting vibrations into the global field environment. And we have choice. We can decide what types of emotions and feelings we experience. We can nurture the more pleasant, positive, productive feelings and emotions. And so therefore we can raise our vibration and we can contribute more positively to the global field environment. So that's what we're going to do. And as part of the experiment, we're going to use another way to measure all of this. So we've got the global Coherence Initiative, the magnetometers around the world. We've got the Global Consciousness Project, the random number generators, and then we've got this app, which many of you will be using. So the Global Coherence app is basically, it's a meditation app, but it's also a biofeedback app. So it's measuring through your heart rate variability. It's measuring your individual coherence, and it's also measuring the group's collective coherence. So it's measuring all of our coherence together and assigning a kind of a level of coherence to that, an average level for the group as a whole. So in terms of the app and what it's doing, if you've got yours handy there, what I'd like you to do is to open the app, and you'll see this screen here. And if you just kind of swipe along a little bit, you'll see that it says Global Coherence Experiment number 2, one field. And so what I'd like you to do, please, is to tap on that. And then you'll see the description there of the experiment pop up, sponsored by the one field, as you can see. And so then what I'd like you to do is just to tap join. Now, when you then tap to join, you'll see this screen pop up, and it'll ask you to select a sensor. Now, maybe one or two of you have got an actual dedicated HeartMath sensor. If you do, then you know whether it's wired or Bluetooth, but most of you will be using the camera sensor. Very clever, this app, because it can use your phone's own camera to give you biofeedback on your heart rhythms, your level of coherence. So tap on the relevant one, which most of you will be camera, of course. And then this screen will pop up, and then you just need to tap join session. Okay. Now, you need to have your finger over the camera on your phone. Now, if you've got one or more cameras, two or more cameras, sorry, it needs to be the top one. Okay. So what you're doing is you're placing your finger over the camera lens, you're holding your hand steady, and you're applying light pressure. Don't push too hard. If you push too hard, it squeezes the blood out of the capillaries in your finger. And so we want just nice light pressure. And what will happen is your flash will come on your phone and it will stay on. That's basically shining light into your finger. And what we're doing is we're picking up the blood density in the capillaries of the finger. And that's a proxy for your heartbeat. So we can work out very accurately your heartbeat through the blood in the capillaries in your finger. Pretty clever, huh? And then let me just start this little video here. What you'll see then, so you'll have seen, hopefully, a red window pop up. That red is basically your fingertip. It's the light shining through your fingertip. And then what you'll see is your heart rhythm is being calculated. It might take a little while to calibrate, depending on how effectively your phone is getting the signal. And then what it's doing is it's gathering data and it's calculating your level of coherence. So it's basically measuring your heart's rhythm and calculating how coherent that is. Okay. And so then what you're beginning to see in this waveform as it appears here, this is the heart's rhythm. Okay. So in this example, this is the heart's rhythm speeding up, slowing down, speeding up, slowing down. You can see already it's going into a lovely coherent pattern, a sinusoidal waveform with these repeating oscillations, which are in effect vibrations. Then you can tap that little heart thing to get that message out of the way that just disappeared. Slide your screen up a bit, and then you can see your level of coherence is presented, and then the global level of coherence is presented. And you can also toggle here between your individual and then the global level of coherence to see what's happening to that coherence over time, basically. So you can see it tends to wander around a bit. You could have also tapped the thing that says map in the top right hand corner, and that will show a live map of everyone who's logged into the app right now. So you could see me there in London, zooming in and out basically. And so yeah, we're going to use this app now, continue to use this as we go into the meditation. And then what we'll do, hopefully at the end, is to have a little look and see what happened. And we'll also be collecting all of this data for the experiment. Okay, just maybe skip that survey thing. We'll do that later. Don't worry about it for now. Okay. Good. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to stop sharing, and we're going to go into a group coherence meditation and the experiment together, basically. Give me 1 second. Okay. Perfect. So what I'd like you to do then, please, just make sure that you've got your phone comfortably in your hand. Okay, and sit nice and comfortably. We're going to be meditating for about 10 minutes. Try to keep your fingers still and just lightly pressed on the camera. Try not to move around too much. It's quite sensitive. As you sit, you could close your eyes or keep them open, whichever you prefer. But what I'd like you to do now is to shift your attention and your focus to your heart or your chest area. And you may find that putting your hand on your heart is helpful. And now just imagine that your breath is flowing into and out of your heart or your chest. And breathe slowly and comfortably. And try to make the breath nice and balanced. So that's the same length of time for the in-breath as the out-breath. And perhaps start with a pace of around 5 seconds for your in-breath, 5 seconds for your out-breath. This is a pace that can help most people achieve a high level of coherence. But if that pace is not comfortable, then just try breathing a little faster or slower, whatever pace is comfortable for you. And relax your belly so that it can expand and contract with each breath. And as you breathe, try to get your breath as smooth and as sustained as possible. So don't hold the breath at the end of the inhale or the exhale, just a smooth and sustained cycle of the breath, imagining it flowing in and flowing out of the heart. And now, keeping our focus in our hearts, we're going to shift our attention and our intention towards each other within this group. And so on your out breath, I invite you to please radiate out feelings of peace, of care, compassion and love for everyone in this meditation. And then on your in-breath, please breathe the feelings of peace, care, compassion and love back into and for yourself. So we breathe out to others and back into and for ourselves. And we'll do this for just a few minutes. Don't worry if your mind or attention wanders, just come back to the heart, come back to the feelings, come back to the breath. We'll sit in silence for a couple of minutes and I'll let you know when we're ready to move on. Enjoy. And now I'd like to invite you to extend your attention and your intention outside of this group and to include now the people in your life who are important to you. So keep your focus in your heart, and on your out breath, please radiate out the feelings of peace, care, compassion and love to those people who are important to you. And then on your in breath, please breathe those feelings of peace, care, compassion and love back into and for yourself. And now I'd like to invite you to extend your attention, your intention, out beyond those people who are important to you, and to include now all people and all conscious life everywhere. So again, keeping your focus in your heart. On your out breath, please radiate out the feelings of peace, care, compassion and love towards all peoples and all conscious life. And remembering on your in-breath to breathe those feelings back into and for yourself. And now that you're deeply in your heart, really try to feel your unity with the wholeness of life. And know that we are living now at this important and critical time in humanity's evolution. We are individually and collectively contributing to the field of consciousness. And our intention is to live from our hearts together and in peace. Okay, so thank you so much for your participation. We've come to the end of our meditation now, but please know that the time we spent together has not just benefited our own health, our own happiness, it's also benefited others. So when we experience these heartfelt feelings like care, appreciation, compassion, and love, those feelings are never wasted. They have a real power. And while we may not be able to see the immediate impact of our efforts, we are increasing our personal, social, and global coherence, and we are raising our individual and our collective consciousness. And that is, of course, especially important during these transformational times as we seek to awaken the heart of humanity and to raise the vibration of the global field environment. So thanks again for your contribution. I'd like to now just briefly share with you how, if you wish, you could get more involved with the Global Consciousness Project 2.0 as we begin to roll that out. So just one slide to share with you. You have an opportunity to participate in this really, groundbreaking consciousness research. There's never been research of this type on this scale before. And so we have an open invitation. We have 1,000 of the Global Consciousness Project random number generators that we'd like to distribute throughout the world. And the way that can work is that you can have one in your home or your office or your school or your university. There is a cost. The cost is the cost to us of creating these products. So they're $300, which I appreciate is not inexpensive, but if that's within your means, then that's the price. There's shipping costs and import taxes and things like that. But basically, that's the cost if you would like to have one of these in your home. And you can participate in the meditations that we'll be organizing and know that your contribution to the field is being picked up by the random number generators. If you're interested in learning more about the whole of the project, then there's the link to the site. So it's just gcp2.net, gcp2.net. Other ways that you can actually take part in this is you can sign up for the updates. So we'll be creating a newsletter, some of the insights into the research. You'll be able to fairly soon pop onto that site and just view the live data, see what this network of random number generators is actually doing. And then again, if you have the means to do so, then this is we're a non-profit organization, the HeartMath Institute in the US. And so all donations obviously help us to continue the work that we're doing. So there's ways to get involved if you wish. So yes, that brings me to the end of my contribution. I hope you enjoyed the meditation. I hope you found it to be powerful. I'll take a screenshot of the data and send it over, and then perhaps the One Field gang could distribute that. But what I can say is that collectively we achieved a level of 2, which is a very good level of coherence for the number of people that we had using the app, which at one point was sort of 120 something people. Actually, it's more than that, up to 177. But anyway, thank you for your participation, and thank you for being within the data. As soon as we've got some information to share with you, we will.
Thank you, Gavin. Thank you, Robert. And thank you all. I hope you were meditating. I know I did with my phone. תודה, גבין. תודה, רוברט. תודה לכולכם שהשתתפתם ותרמתם את כוונת הלב שלכם. שתפו את האירוע כמה שיותר. ככה נגדיל את ההשפעה הטובה. Thank you all for participating and sharing your heart's intention. We encourage you to share the event as much as possible so we can increase the positive impact. תודה לחגית ויניר שביט על החסות. Thank you, חגית and יניר שביט for sponsoring our event. לצוות השדה האחד, לשחר כהן על התמיכה מאחורי הקלעים, לאיתמר ולצוות האולפן על השידור. I would also like to thank the One Field team, to Shachar Cohen for the support behind the scene, and Itamar and his team for the broadcast. ניפגש כאן, חודש בדיוק, ב-21 באוגוסט. We'll see you here again in exactly 1 month on August 21st. Thank you all. Goodbye.